Pandi Zdruli, I work here for this institute. I'm Albanian myself originally, even though I left Albania 20 years ago. So I got a Fulbright fellowship in, to go to the United States. So I spent there about a little bit more than 5 years with USDA, Nature Resources Conservation Service. Actually, when I arrived there, it used to be Soil Conservation Service in '93, and then the year after, they changed the name from Soil to Nature Conservation, Nature Resources Conservation Service. So that was until end of '97, and then in '98, I moved to Europe, and I was visiting scientists with the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. We had one representative here of soil action. So at that time, the soil action did not exist, it was just Luca. And I'm talking, probably '98. So, but it was established the European Soil Bureau Network. And the ESBN has been working towards developing the soil database of Europe at the scale of 1 million. So I was involved in that project. I introduced their soil information for Albania. They did quite a lot of work in also neighboring countries. So that was for almost 2 years. I was visiting scientists with them. And then the intention, and hopefully we'll make that true, was that the soil information system that was developed for whole Europe, to expand it towards Eurasia, which was done already, and towards the whole Mediterranean basin, including North African and Middle Eastern countries. So this institute, and I will say also a few words what we do and where you are, does a lot of work throughout the Mediterranean region. So it was proposed to me to move here, which was okay. So since 2000, I've been working here with this institute. So that's more or less who I am and what I do, and during the course of these days that we are going to stay together, maybe we'll have a chance to know better each other. So first of all, to give you some information about our institute and about our center. CIHEAM, as you can see, was established in '62. And was actually an initiative to bring together countries from the northern part of the Mediterranean and on the southern part. As of today, we are 13 member countries. This is, some people call it as a mini FAO. So those are the member states. We have 4 institutes in addition to this one. We are located, you know already where Bari is. Then there are 3 more in Montpellier in France. They deal mostly with rural development. The other institute is in Zaragoza, environmental, as well as I think they also have livestock management. And the other institute is in Kenya, in the island of Crete. And then you can see in Paris is the headquarters. It's only administrative staff, or the Secretary General, which, by the way, starting from the 1st of October, our director was also appointed Secretary General of CIHEAM. So he will keep both positions. Okay, this is our institute. You saw already the entrance. These are actually the flags of the member countries. We do a little bit of everything, let's put it that way. Training is a strong component. Actually, in this room, this is the room where we teach our land and water resources department. So we have our students, we mostly come from North Africa and the Middle East. They got actually full paid scholarships from the Italian government. We are under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And on average, in addition to other courses, you can see it's also integrated pest management of mostly Mediterranean fruit trees. You see that there is plenty of olives and orchards here and throughout the Mediterranean, as well as Another department is dealing with organic agriculture. We had also this course, and there was another fourth course on sustainable agriculture and rural development, but unfortunately the last, I think 2 years, that has been cut due to the financial crisis and lack of budget. So that, as far as training, on average about 120 students, all our students stay inside the campus, where we were supposed to accommodate you, but unfortunately the campus was full, so we had to move back and forth from the hotel. But they have all the facilities there, very, very good facilities. These are our experimental fields, which are on the other side of the campus, and actually we will have a chance to go and visit them, where our master students conduct their experiments. There are also soil and water lab, hydraulic lab. Calum Farmer is one of the professors who come and teach. Usually the teaching is based on modules. The first year students have to accumulate 60 ETS credits, and then it's not automatic they will be selected for the master. Depends on the grades that they have and overall in their performance. But if they do well, like let's say in our course here in Land and Water, we have usually on the first, we call it first year students, about 20, and so far more than 50% of them were also qualifying for coming for the second year to conduct their master degree. So usually it takes about 2 years to finish the master, and it's the same process also for the other 3 departments. We do research. And much of the research is based on participating in research projects. Most of them are funded by the, until now, FP7 of the European Commission, and actually we eagerly looking for the Horizon 2020 when it offers. We are very proactive in participating in various research projects. Cooperation is also a strong pillar of the Institute. And I can tell you that this month has been particularly full of visitors. We had people from Uzbekistan, we often have people from Iraq. We organize also short training courses, including on desertification. We had once, actually Eduardo was invited to teach in one of these courses for students from Syria, I think. So that is, and the main scope then is to exchange knowledge, to disseminate knowledge, and mostly to bridge together north and south of the Mediterranean. Just to give you a flavor, until we had almost 90 projects running out. Some of the, let's say, landmark networks that we coordinated, one of them has been the COST project. Calum Farmer was also, as NRD, was member in that network. It operated until 2007, and it brought together more than 36 partners from all the Mediterranean countries. There was another parallel network, was called WASAMED, dealing with water issues and water harvesting and efficient use of water in Mediterranean environment, that even had about 40 partners. So if you include only these 2 networks, we had almost 80 partners in all the Mediterranean countries. So that shows the strong connection that we have. One of the most recent ongoing projects that we have, it is in the context of Expo 2015, is going to be in Milan. It's called Feeding Knowledge, and actually is already being advertised. Maybe you see Expo now even in the football games. I noticed when in the stadiums, last games that were, it was this Expo 2015. Within that, what we are trying to do, it is this, and I actually would like to invite you to join if you like. We have established a Euro-Mediterranean network on research and innovation for food security. I don't know if you can connect, because it's also a very short video here that it tells you what is this. How maybe works. No. There are 2 YouTube videos that show the activities. Now, what I am doing personally is also coordinating this priority 1, you see, sustainable natural resources management. And There is also a white paper that we have developed that will look at the availability of land and water and what climate change is going to do in the Mediterranean, and then how energy will need, and what is the impact also on biodiversity. So overall, looking at this and population dynamics, the region is facing tremendous challenges, I would say, from political. You all know what's going on in Egypt, in Syria, terrible things, and throughout the Mediterranean countries. So, and then there is a great expansion of population increase when you have only 5% of the land that is fit for agriculture. So, and then the most water scarce region, I guess, in the world. So these are the topics. If you like, go to Feeding Knowledge. There's an easy way. You can create an account and you can join if you have an interest on this. All right, so let's go into more practical terms on the issues of this training school. Now, we started actually with the first visit yesterday, and we went south towards Brindisi. So you got a flavor of what Puglia is and what are the characteristics, more typical one. Now, you see that it's a region that is hot and dry. If you come here in July, in August, you don't see anywhere green except for the campus, because this is not fully irrigated automatically every day or every night, better say, sprinkles just start. So this is like Isola Felice, but all the rest is yellow. So hot and dry, much of the precipitation is in winter, typical for Mediterranean environments are in the regions. And then we live on, especially in the province of Bari, on limestones. You notice when we were moving around, and you will have the chance also to see. And often they are also mixed with this calcareous type of sandstones, or calcarelite as we call it in terminology in Italy. Now, we will have visits in the vicinity of the institute, and I will show you also some pictures of what you would expect and what we are supposed to do. And then this will end up with a visit in the north, because we thought also it's good. I heard also there are quite a few people who have an interest on forestry, and much of the forest that is in Puglia is in the northern part. That area is called Gargano, and is the only mountain that Puglia has. Otherwise, you notice that it is a quite flat plateau with a ridge of hills somewhere in the center parallel to the coast. It's the Murgia Barese. Otherwise, the mountain, it is located somewhere here, and we have planned to meet people from the forestry department, and they tell us also some of the actions they are doing for forest preservation or reforestation, afforestation projects that they are conducting. Now, another characteristic of Puglia is that man transformed almost the whole territory. You see, 81% is agriculture, being that olives or orchards or horticulture or cereals. Much of the cereals, by the way, are grown in the area here of Foggia, which shows heavy clay soil, wetland soil type. It's a plateau where also a lot of horticulture crops are grown, and that is an indicator that soils are fitting for that type of crops. Instead here, with the shallow soils of often even less than 30 centimeters deep, it's very hard to go with cereals, for example. So a very heavily transformed region with strong human impact on the territory. And as I said, we hear people, let's say, living with limestones. I mentioned that. Now, if you don't have that much land that you like, and you want to do farming, then a typical technique that was developed mostly here in Apulian, but there are examples also in Sicily, and you will hear from Professor Zdruli and also, I guess, also Professor Costantini has experience on this. Over the last 20-25 years, since land, especially the province of Bari, was limited for producing crops, farmers started to break down the calcareous rocks with heavy machinery, grinding rock outcrops or shallow soils to increase soil depth, in order that they can establish great plantations, mostly for increasing productivity. Now, what they do first is that with hammers, they break down the layers of the limestones in order to create the first background for increasing the depth. And then, with these machines, they come after and then go back and forth and create this new man-made soil. This is a typical anthrosol that has been drastically transformed by humans in a rather very short period of time. I mean, you can do it in one day. So if you remember the concept of time in soil formation, that it takes thousands of years. Here in one day, you did what physical weathering of the rocks would have been done for centuries. And then, obviously, once this expanded so largely, question came then, what's happening with these man-made soils? What are the differences between them and the natural habitats, how they used to be before this intervention occurred? And some of this we will try also to do it ourselves when we will go in the field, and then we'll have a chance to see it, to describe and to measure this. So practically, these are the types of the landscape that I was mentioning. These are mostly rock outcrops with some small patches where pasture or grazing can occur. And these are the landscapes that have been completely grinding. This process in Italian is called frantumazione. Frantumare is breaking, grinding, and mixing all together. Now, there are two ways of using this type of man-made lanes. One is for the grapes, and we will see also some pictures. But sometimes these are used also for cereals. And in many cases also in sloping lands. So practically this increase erosion. In some areas also small landslides occur. I will also take you to see concretely this type of interventions that are again here in Altamura area in the province of Bari. And the yield practically that I am taking from duro wheat cultivation here is rain-fed, is not irrigated, quite low. So, and unfortunately, much of this type of interventions were encouraged by the EU subsidies, that they were subsidizing duro wheat. That was not now, but about 15-20 years ago, when they started cultivating. So that's a, let's say, a negative aspect of EU subsidies. This is well-known fact, and actually many environmental groups also claim that this is not a sustainable practice to follow, unless at least in some of these areas some kind of, and I'll show some pictures of adding at least some organic manure or making some crop rotations with legume crops to improve somehow soil fertility, because otherwise the surface is almost 90% surface loneliness is covered by rocks, and the wheat has a really hard time to grow in this type of environment. Then the next story is with the grapes. The grapes do rather well, I would say perfectly well. These are the typical soils that we had really hard time to identify, because I told you it's almost 81% is transformed. This was also in the context of the PhD thesis of a student we had here in collaboration with Federico II University in Naples. And we tried exactly to look at what happened when environments like this are transformed like this. Or environments like this with so many rocks, some of those boulders and hard limestones had even taken from one part and brought together. When we were walking yesterday, that's you noticed that same process is happening still, where people take these calcium carbonate materials and bring it to the soil and mix it with the existing soil in order to establish grape plantations. So these are the results. Now this is a huge investment. We also should mention this. I put it here. It's about 30,000 for grinding up to establishing the grapes. And then this plantation will run for about 20-25 years, and then after that it has to be taken out. Now nobody knows after 25 years, because some of those areas are reaching at that level, then how the soils will be left. Let us don't forget also that these grapes are under very intense production, and they are not organic. They spray here all kind of herbicides in order to control weeds, and pesticides, and insecticides, and chemicals for protecting from insects and disease, and obviously some of them certainly are accumulated into the soil. But there is no monitoring system, and nobody knows that. That is probably one issue also for additional research that we may consider also looking at the residues of these chemicals and how they are accumulating into the ground. And what that did that, as you can see, Puglia is the largest table grape producer and exporter in Italy. Much of that production actually goes Northern Europe, I hear even sometimes to faraway countries like Russia, or somebody will say even in the United States and Canada. So, but it's very good quality. You will see with your own eyes when we will move how productive these plantations are. But again, as we also had the discussion yesterday, from our point of view, from our perspective as soil scientists, we would like to see what's happening underneath. Not only enjoying the beauty of the olive and the beauty of the grapes, without considering that farmers need also to take very good care of the quality of the soil. And unfortunately, that comes lost. So that's some kind of, again, pictures of the natural habitats. Actually, this is one of the profiles that we are going to go and see and study. You see the calcareous rock that is here, the bedrock. We're talking about 30 almost centimeter. And that's it. These are the typical Mediterranean shrubs and trees and cactus, and that is the vegetation. You see it here, it is dry. This picture was taken a week ago. And on the other side of the road, this is the road, that is the natural landscape. And I can tell you, it wasn't easy to find a spot that wasn't touched by people in the vicinity of the table grapes. So nature habitats still remain intact. And then on the other side, it is this one here. That's a plantation. It's just 5 meters. And you see, the picture shows a little bit the increase of the effective soil depth in this case. And these are the rocks that have been grinded, and the depth of the soil has expanded. comparing with how it was in the previous picture. So what happens? In one of the studies that we conducted, by comparing both sides, we tried to figure it out what is the impact, for example, on the ground biomass. We'll look only on the flora. And Jenny, that was with us yesterday, Jenny Calabrese, will also have a lecture on this. We looked at the diversity of the plants in the natural habitat and then in the area that has been put under grapes. And you can see, for example, that from the quite large diversity of plants, when you do this, almost half of them, maybe more, 33% of them is being lost. So the diversity of the species has been drastically reduced. With 27, and here remain only 9. All the rest have been completely wiped out. But on the other side, if you see the number of those that remain in absolute number, they are more than how they used to be in the natural habitat. That's a fact. So you see a quick loss of diversity of species and those that remain, and a large expansion in number. Now, as far as soil quality, there are, in a sense, some kind of positive and negative changes. These are some of the data that we have by comparing at least 2 profiles that were opened in those natural environments, and then we had other about 10 that were opened in the grape plantations. To summarize, because there's no, we don't have the time to go one by one, but if you consider what is positive in that regard, yeah, of course, increasing in soil depth, that's a positive impact. We expanded the soil depth, so the rooting system has more opportunity to expand it and then to grow. It's an increase in active and total calcium carbonates, which could be positive and could be also negative. That is still debatable. But in a sense, grapes go rather well with calcium area. Also, one of the characteristics is that the skin of the grapes become a little bit more stronger, so it gives also that impression of crocante when you eat it, which is a marketing feature. But on the other side, it is also, you remember that they are exporting this, so if you want to export, they will resist more until they reach the final destination where it goes. So the excess of calcium, free calcium that has been released is also in a sense positive, but it intervenes sometimes, it compromises also fertility, and we see that there is often not the phosphorus absorption by the plants become a little bit more difficult. Okay, there is an increase in rock fragments, or the so-called skeleton, throughout the profile. That's, from drainage point of view, is a positive feature, because it improves, it's like a natural drainage in that case, improve the infiltration of water. These are, by the way, all under irrigation. All these table grapes under intensive, I would say, irrigation systems that are mixed also with fertigation. So the farmers also provide nutrients to the grapes through the irrigation system. Then let's see what happened on the negative side. As obviously and expected, there is a decrease in soil organic matter. It's almost about 57% is lost in the first 2 years. So it's a drastic decrease of soil organic matter, and obviously also of soil organic carbon, because they are going close to each other. And it is as well a decrease in nitrogen. 32% of the nitrogen also goes below. Obviously, the pH tends to increase. That and then we cannot discuss anymore about soil structure, because once you grind in that way, you definitely destroy the soil structure compared with the natural structure as it was in the previous profile. And as I said, the compromised soil fertility is related also with the increase of calcium that create problems in the absorption complex for the phosphorus. Now, no changes. I would say that soil texture more or less, the percentage at least of silt, clay and sand remain more or less the same. They are only mixed with water. And more or less the CEC and EC also shows values that remain rather similar with the natural conditions. So if we going through this process, then the natural question is that first of all, what is the future? And I should say also that this is all driven by the market. If market require grapes, then farmers expand without thinking twice, I should say, because many of these farmers, by the way, I should mention that they are rather well off. Those 30,000 euro invested are with their own money. There is, in that regard, there is no any kind of subsidy that given, neither by the European Union nor by the local government. I mentioned that you have to have a drip irrigation system. You see the tubes here, and to find that water here, they drill almost 500 meters deep. So we're talking about big investment also to find the water. And taking that water up requires energy, so you have to also pay for the electricity. So it's a big investment, but so far it has been driven by the profit that they make, and then an investment that, as I said, will go for 25 years. So on the long run, medium and long run, they probably will have that money back. Now, in terms of improving soil fertility, I have taken this picture last year, and I was very pleasantly surprised that I saw that they were putting organic manure in between the rows, and I stopped and talked to the farmer and said, "Do you do this every year?" He said, "Well, no, not every year, but we try to do it when we can." The problem is that the cost of transportation of manure up to there are high, so you don't have animal husbandry farms next to this. This is only, at least in the surroundings of Apulian, the Bari province, they don't have close by, so that increase. Some kind of legume, green manuring happens, but still that also remains sporadic. It's not the common trend. It is considered positive, but it's not widespread. But we suggest them when we have the chance to talk to them that you have to look also at trying to improve the fertility of the soil by either this way or adding any kind of organic waste and organic material that can improve soil fertility. If you talk to them about what do you think about biodiversity, it doesn't look to be a big issue. He is mostly concerned about his grapes and about the production, but that comes as the last thing that he could worry. In some cases, and this picture was taken actually a week ago, we were surveying the area where we are going together, and I saw that exactly they were putting a farmyard organic manure in these lands that are cultivated by cereals. So that was good to see. I couldn't talk to anyone because when we were there, there was nobody, but that was something interesting. And the same way here, you see, they were adding. So probably this awareness on improving soil fertility for better yields for the future through also this type of interventions